Welcome to part 8. And this topic is irritating me, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you the rest of it. But I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. This is part 8 of Wake Up, Sleeper, Wake Up. December the 18th, 2022.
This woman, Madeline Vanderbruggen, was featured on TEDx Talks as a speaker, urging that we stop shaming the maps.
From an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society. However, it doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. God told us to stone these people to death in the Bible back in the day. Yes, I know that Jesus came. But he didn't come to do away with the law. He came to fulfill it and to grant us forgiveness. Yes, I know. To forgive, we must forgive. To be forgiven, we must forgive. I'm not saying don't forgive them. But if they're truly repentant, forgive them. If they're not, then what do? You have to be like Paul. Turn them over to the devil. You have to cast them out. You can't let these people go around hurting the children. No.
Across the country. The children are getting hit also every which way. Of course, if it's not something like that, you got weed relentlessly pushed in the popular culture as fun and harmless, and big weed is spending millions to lobby for pot acceptance and legalization. Now, this is even as we've documented the disastrous physical and mental health consequences.
Cannabis seems to be toxic to the brain. It not only increases your chance of developing psychotic symptoms, but it also has direct effects on the structure of the brain. It shrinks your brain. So when you take cannabis, it's like playing Russian roulette.
It's infuriating.
When you take cannabis, it causes psychotic episodes, I believe he said there. Don't ask why people are having road rage and things these days. This is why people are brawlers. You either got to have your pot brownies or your pot cookies or whatever you're putting it in these days, or you got to have your bongs, or you got to have your home road, and you think it's funny and that it's cool because you get a buzz. But you're destroying the temple of God. You're shrinking your brain. Don't ask why you've been forgetful when you've been smoking that stuff. Don't ask why things are happening to you that's weird that you can't understand. Because you're destroying the temples of God. And Jesus makes it plain in his word. If you destroy the temple of God, God will destroy you.
And 9 times out of 10, the media won't cover the truth about teens and weed. They'll just hope that you think January 6th is more important. But as depressing as this is, at least we have our military leadership to stand up as examples of good and ethical behavior.
Away.
Right? Well, that's wrong.
Caught that.
Of all the disturbing Twitter threads
Way to go,
out there,
POTUS, work it in
this
there.
one from Nova Campaigns has to be in the top 10. Apparently, there's something called pup kink. And one retired colonel named Brian Connolly is so confident in his identity, he reportedly released this photo. And this wasn't just a hobby he took up during retirement. Check this out. There's bondage, animal kink, brazenly posted on Instagram with hashtags like gay puppy play and gay leather fetish and pup play, etc., etc. Apparently, this is Connolly's lover pup, Captain Dayton Tenney.
Okay, Fox News, I'm going to ask you to refrain from doing that again. Because I really don't want to pray fire down on you, but I will. It is a shame to even speak of what they do, and here you're showing it. Come on, we don't got to see it. Just speak it and move on. It's bad enough it's in our face all the time anyway. You all don't need to be putting it out there too.
Again, another individual disgracing the uniform. And by the way, wearing their dog masks in military spaces. Now, while the Angle has not been able to independently confirm these photos, we did reach out to the U.S. Army, who said in a statement to us, U.S. Army Pacific, this happened at Hawaii, Pearl Harbor area, is aware of the content found on social media reflecting soldiers' activities while wearing uniforms. The incident, and it's really incidents, is currently under investigation. So, look, this isn't any secret. But the question remains, why was this ever tolerated by base commanders? I mean, should we assume that this is okay? If we hadn't reported on it, if it hadn't been on Twitter, is Secretary Austin and General Milley, are they okay with this? Or are they too busy tracking down all those Trump supporters in the military? Well, I'm certain Twitter's former head of health and safety, Yoel Roth, would think that, I don't know, that type of military engagement is kind of cool. He'd even probably see not much harm in kids checking it out as well. Now, why am I saying this? Well, because in his 2016 UPenn dissertation called Gay Data, he didn't think teens should be barred from the hookup app Grindr. Just needs safety strategies in place, he said. Well, it turns out that Roth followed the topic of teens having sex very closely, retweeting this Salon piece, positing the question of whether a high school student can meaningfully consent to sex with a teacher. We now know him as Twitter's former Trump censor, but back in 2014, he spent a lot of time tweeting and retweeting all sorts of depraved stuff. Like this one, a shout out to age drag in toddlers and tiaras. Or this, where he says, Twitter will learn to porn another day. And then there's a bizarre reference to the proper browser for Craigslist sex. So instead of raising questions about this guy's judgment, the media rushed to his rescue. All because, of course, he's now playing the victim.
I'm on the cover of the New York Post, and that is a deeply terrifying experience, and I say this from a position of unquestioned privilege as a cis white male. Like, the internet is much scarier and much worse for lots of other people who aren't me, but it was pretty scary for a long time.
Like, the internet is much
scarier for someone that isn't him. No, he's not stuck on himself at all. Well, stay off the stuff that is scary. Get out of it. Nobody told you to go in there. It's not like you didn't have a choice. You know, I was told as a kid growing up, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it. And if you find trouble, you must have been looking for it. I believe fully in keeping peace, but I'm not going to coddle no demon.
Scarier. He's so whipped by the woke police, he reflexively refers to himself as a cis white male of privilege. And naturally, like all liberals of today, he can't take a dose of his own medicine. Now, when the trans fanatics preying on our children are mocked, Ross stands with the deviancy and calls the critics dangerous.
We have seen from a number of Twitter accounts, including libs of TikTok notably, that there are orchestrated campaigns that
Why is the person in the other chair over there covering her face as though she's hiding herself from laughing? I mean, I get it. If I were sitting across from him, I'd probably have a hard time not laughing myself. It would be a toss-up between that or throat punching him. But, you know, I mean, I'm totally kidding. I'm not going to throat punch anyone. That's what Jesus is for. No, Jesus isn't going to throat punch anybody. He's just going to punish the evildoers. It's written in his word. Y'all don't take none of this serious. You really don't. And it's really starting to... I'm just really tired of how everybody's treating the Lord. And to have to talk about this stuff that y'all can see with your own eyes. And yet you don't want to say we're in the last days. Look at the sick, deprived things these people are doing. And they think it's okay.
particularly are singling out a group that is already particularly vulnerable within society. And so, yeah, not only is it not funny, but it is dangerous.
I'd say what's more dangerous is the fact that this was the person deemed most qualified by the Biden administration as a nuclear waste official, well, a dude in a dress.
My name is Sam Brinton, and I serve as Head of Advocacy and Government Affairs for the Trevor Project. I'm a gender-fluid individual who walks the halls of Congress. Talk about the power of being free every day to hear my stilettos click on those marble floors and yet know that I deserve to be in that room just as much as anybody else.
Now, that guy with the Joker lipstick deserves to be in the room, that's what he said. Well, remember, the Biden administration mainstreamed that circus act. Shock that they, them turned out to be both gender fluid and luggage fluid. Well, so much for being in touch with his feminine side, because he doesn't look very happy in that video when he's, well, stealing ladies' luggage at the baggage carousel. Thankfully, finally, he was canned today. Degeneracy is a term that's kind of gone out of vogue, but as you can see, there are many reasons for it to make a comeback. For years now, universities, the White House, corporate America, big tech, Hollywood, they've worked overtime to destigmatize aberrant behavior while stigmatizing the traditional understanding of good and evil. Until we begin to claw back their power and make their support of deviancy too costly to continue, our damaged democracy and depressed children will be left behind as collateral damage.
The Apostle Paul in his epistle.
Yep. Collateral damage. Don't worry. Jesus is coming. There won't be collateral damage. The Lord's going to punish the evildoers. Come out of your sins. You don't want to be punished? Come out of your sins. Leave them. Quit doing them. Walk away. Follow the Lord. Stop living like everything belongs to you. Stop acting like you're God. You think I sound horrid? No, I love you. For some of you people, the only way to get through to you is to be sarcastic and to be crazy, basically. Because you don't want to listen to anybody else. You don't. But if they're a lot like yourself, them you'll hear. So I'm trying to reach you on a level that you're going to understand. See you in the next part.